Yeah.
because this is so important. Christology. Okay.
That's what I was about to ask next.
Yeah. Like the great controversy fundamentally is about Christology, the study of understanding who Jesus is. So can you succinctly walk us through the great controversy and then let us know whether or not the great controversy is still applied to the person of Christ today? Yeah.
Absolutely. Through and through, the great controversy worldview and teachings is what defines Adventism. One of their scholars, Herbert W. Douglas, but several others as well, makes clear that it is the center around which everything resolves. It's what the theory of everything that explains everything and pulls all the doctrines, their lifestyle, their mission, everything together.
Mm.
The Adventist pioneers were not Trinitarians. They were Arians and semi-Arians. They profusely rejected the doctrine of the Trinity and the deity of Christ. And so in the great controversy motive, when you study Ellen White's writings and what the Adventist church believes, is that Jesus was Michael the archangel, leader of the angels of heaven. Satan or Lucifer was also an archangel and also a leader of the
Where
angels
did
of
you
heaven.
get this from?
And so eventually, God
And again, remember the whole time I'm hearing no quotation. Like you could have easily opened a 7
like,
books.
it's
This is when you know you have nothing. Go ahead.
I'm like, when he said Satan is an archangel, I'm like, where is he getting this from? That's not even in the Bible. like what in the world?
Again, remember, we're being misinformed here. We're being misinformed. So let's continue with gaslighting. Let's keep going.
Promoted, that is God the Father, promoted Jesus to be equal with himself to deity status and invited him into his counsel and fellowship and purposes. Now, Satan or Lucifer, who was also a co-equal archangel with Jesus, got jealous of Jesus' promotion because he thought that he was deserving of that promotion more or better than Jesus.
Wait,
and
stop
so
right there. So we got these guys who just downplay Ellen White, never read a thing she's ever written, and never checked to see if she's in harmony with the Bible. But yet we got this guy right now prophesizing all these things that just aren't even biblical. Nowhere does it say anything that he's talking about. And what's sad is these guys sitting on the couch are sucking this up like it's all truth.
Yeah.
I mean, who is zooming who here? Come on.
I had added this. Let me see if I can pull that up here. These guys were just in here, but I'm in 69. The Adventist League had this quotation. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it. We started with this one. Yeah, there it is right there. Right, the Adventist Defense League. They said, and I said, I give this a huge thumbs up. Imagine judging a man by merely interviewing his ex.
Right, the ex is just going to tell you all of that things that they can think of.
I gotta save that one. That's kind of what's going on here. So you're expecting the ex to come around and tell the truth? I mean, come on, man. Like, what is wrong with you guys? But
I'll tell you what, that analogy is spot on. I mean, come on.
It's ridiculous. And we've been pushing against that. That's part of my issue. But nevertheless, we just allowing them to go on because we just have to respond to some of their things. But the criticism here is well warranted. Like, if you're going to have this guy talking about Seventh-day Adventist Church, why didn't you guys even bring, even the people on the panel, why didn't you guys even bring some writings from the Adventist faith? Why didn't you guys have some questions, read some articles? They have nothing. They have not a single piece of paper in their hands.
You know what I find interesting is that it's almost like when he's talking about what the Great Controversy is about, it's almost like he's kind of close because it has something to do with Christ because it's speaking of Christ and Satan. But they're getting the whole narrative wrong. They're not even understanding. Like it's interesting because when you understand how
Yeah.
really the who Christ is,
Yeah.
his eternal sonship, eternal, like he's eternal son of God. He's not created. But
Yeah.
just because we put the name Michael doesn't just change that. I mean,
Yeah.
we understand archangel is not an actual angel. That's just
Yeah.
a chief
Yeah.
of angels. Just means that he's the Lord of hosts. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, and the thing is, it's funny how they're trying to portray Advent as like downplaying Jesus, but it's actually the reverse.
Yeah. It's the other way around.
What's interesting is Satan actually does that with other religions. Is that
Yeah.
he downplays Jesus? He does that with New Ageism and all that.
Yeah.
Like pantheism. They try to say,
Mhm.
"Oh, he's just another teacher or
Yeah.
whatnot, whatever." And then, when they try to misportray Adventism like that, so then when people start trying to look for the right church, and they start thinking Adventists are the same, then they're going to be completely confused, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh no,
Exactly.
nobody thinks Christ is all that great. I guess
it's it's pretty bad. Mark Hamill Ministries. Yeah, I saw your live stream yesterday. That was amazing. That dude is just making, he's making up stuff, lies and more lies.
I
Yeah,
don't.
and that's what's difficult about it, because you kind of have to stop the video consistently to fact check the guy, and he's like,
Well,
"Why didn't you do your homework, man?"
I mean, we can know because we know the Bible. We can sit here right now and just know that he's just lost. And it's just like in Matthew 13, what is it, 13:10, where they asked Jesus, "Why do you speak in parables?"
Hmm.
And his answer, he just basically he says, "I speak to them in parables because seeing they do not see,
Yeah, yeah,
and hearing they do not hear, nor do
yeah.
they understand." And it's just like it's sad. I mean,
It is extremely sad.
it's sad because instead of breaking down, if you're going to talk bad about the Seventh Day Adventist movement, you need to at least know what you're talking about. And why not come into a church, or why not study with somebody that is in the Adventist faith, an elder or a pastor like yourself?
Yeah.
And there, when you sit down and you can look at things, like this guy said from Jamaica, he says one of the things the Seventh Day Adventists don't do is they don't compare context and everything. And I said,
What?
where is he getting? Where is he getting that? Everything I talk about when I teach
It's
is
got
nothing
texture.
but context,
Yeah,
comparing scripture with scripture, and
yeah,
understanding. Don't pick a verse,
yeah,
but read the whole chapter, understand the context. And
yeah.
this guy said, "Well, they don't teach that." And I'm like, this guy, it's like they just woke him up from a 200-year nap."
And it's like, if he's been in our schools like he claims he has, I'm not sure how the things are in Jamaica,
Yeah,
but
I
like,
doubt that.
I've been in Andrews University. Like, they will overwhelm you when it comes to hermeneutics and exegesis. Like, the significance of context is like, what? What is this guy talking about? Because that's not what we believe. And again, I think part of the issue is that our belief can be easily defended from the Bible with the proof text method of Bible study. They have an issue with the proof text. They want to get rid of it. But you can't, because in Isaiah 28, we are told precept must be up on precept, line up on line, here a little, and there a little. In First Corinthians, we are also told that we need to compare spiritual things with spiritual. Even Jesus, when he was tested in the wilderness, what was he doing? He was using proof text to debunk Satan.
Exactly.
Back in
And
his
it's not just one text; it's like multiple
multiple
texts.
texts. So
Not only that, he understood when Satan misquoted text.
yeah, yes, and he corrected his view. So again, when you have nothing, it's kind of like you desperate to create something out of nothing. And I have said this to you in a text, and it's a little bit private. There's there's a story behind this guy. I don't know what it is, and I'm speculating here. Something happened to him in the Adventist church. Must have been hurt. Something, I don't know what it is, but there had to be something that causes a man to not only fall away from the Adventist faith, reject all the Adventist teachings, and now he's speaking against the Adventist faith, and he's confident he's doing the right thing. There's a whole story here that I don't know. I cannot discern at the moment. Maybe we have to do some research, but there's a whole lot happening here. I think it will take a wife to tell you, some girlfriend will tell you, somebody who knew him from Jamaica, but there's something going on here that we are not hearing. And I
It's
think most people who are doing stuff like this, they're telling you something about themselves more than anything.
it's funny, Pastor James, that you say that, because that's when I started watching. I said the first thing, this guy is on a mission to destroy. I
Mhm.
mean, somebody has done something to him within the church, and he's just out to get whatever he, get
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
And
it's retaliation in some sort. Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
It's almost the way he's telling it. It's retaliation instead of, but his belief.
yeah, yeah. You're right, and that's how I feel about it as well. And I know some people can say that's not true, yada yada, and that's fine. But that's what it smells that way. You know what I'm saying? So the great controversy theme. He went on to speak about the great controversy theme and so on. We just about done because we're just gonna walk through this very quickly, right? There is what is known as system of theologies. This is every Christian have these. Okay, these are the main ones. There's what is known as classical theology, process theology, or panentheism. Okay, well, classical theology is more like God is love and God reached out to us and God is the one who sent His Son to die. That's like the perspective of classical theology. There's a lot more to it, but classical theology, I'm sorry, process theology is a little bit different. It's under this concept that you know what, you can, despite what you believe, God wants to save you and things like that. It becomes, and you get the term panentheism. It's kind of like many isms, and the idea that God is everywhere, He's working in everybody and everything else. Uh, there's truth in all of these systems of theology. Most Seventh-day Adventists believe these theology, but we mainly build our theology on the great controversy. So I'm going to give Mr. Thunder credit for this. It is true. We build on that. Why would you build on this great controversy theme? Well, before I get to this, if you haven't read the book, The Great Controversy, make sure you go and read that because it is going to answer all your questions much more than what you are hearing right now. If you happen to be one of those who are not a Seventh-day Adventist and you would like to know more, I will recommend get yourself a copy of this book and read it from start to finish.
They
And then,
come in nice different covers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the same book, but
I'm not selling, I'm just promoting. But before I answer this, listen, while we have people within the Adventist church confusing people, we have people outside the Adventist church. I see you there. I see you there. I see you there, Mr. Tim. We have people
some of
out,
them are just plain red books.
we have people outside of the Adventist church, and listen to what they're doing. They are promoting this. Listen, these people are not Seventh-day Adventists. And listen to what they're talking about with the Great Controversy book and the Great Controversy theme. Listen.
This is The Great Controversy by E.G. White.
By the way, this is Glenn Beck. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is. There he is right there. He's the founder of the Blaze. Very
He's in there
great,
somewhere.
controversy. Yeah, very great great guy. I will tell you, I like this guy a lot. But anyway, let's move on.
This is The Great Controversy by E.G. White. It is about the battle between good and evil. We are seeing that play out more and more in the world around us every day. Recently, I met with Dwight Hall, the CEO of Remnant Publications. He's made this book available for a price you won't believe, but I'll tell you more about that in just a moment.
This book, next to the Bible, to me, is probably the greatest book I've ever read. You know why? Because it tells about the past and the present and the future. It starts out with the destruction of Jerusalem. Why did the Jews have to be destroyed by a heathen nation? And then it goes into the reformers' lives. Why did people like Martin Luther have to run and hide? And other reformers were burned at the stake. Why was that? It's all because when we turn away from God, from His true principles of the Bible, we all get ourselves in trouble. And I believe this nation today is in great trouble. We need to get back to biblical principles that are practical in our everyday lives. This great controversy will change people's lives. Even the great Paul Harvey, when he was alive, told me personally this was one of the greatest books that he had ever read. It's an amazing book.
And you know, Glenn was just telling me this is the one that people sent to him more than anything. And
I get books sent to me all the time. People
Right.
send me books. That book is sent to me more than any other book. I bet I have received in the last 5 years 500 copies of that book, easy.
you can get your copy now with free shipping, $2.99. Go to remnantpublications.com, remnantpublications.com, promo code THEBLAZE for free shipping. Get your copy now, just $2.99.
Wow.
Hey,
amazing.
hey, you
Amazing
know
how
another interest,
platforms are
you know
shaped.
another interesting story that you know that what's his name, Dallas Jenkins, the guy who directs the show, the Chosen series about Jesus.
Oh yeah.
He's received many copies of Desire of Ages. Did you know about
Oh,
that?
really? I did not. Can you send me that
Yeah,
link? Can you send me that
I've
link?
heard. I don't know if there's any kind of news report or anything on it, but I do know somewhere. I'd have to find out like where they find this information. Somebody says that he said that they were sending him so many copies that I think he had to tell them to stop because he had so many.
So many of it.
And then like he
He's
actually
doing the
did
same.
post on Instagram, not Instagram or Facebook somewhere. He posted a post where he actually put a quote from Desire of Ages.
That's
And it's funny too. Some Adventist friends of mine were like, "Oh, I bet he just posted a quote so people could stop sending them the book because." But I don't know. That's
amazing.
just
I
a,
got it.
a
I got
little
it,
funny
guys. I
jokes.
got it. I love that. This was amazing. So this is what the world is saying, friends, concerning the great controversy, just the book in itself. And again, we talk about the theme here. And I started thinking about Luke chapter 16, verse 8. The Bible says, "For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light." So, like I've said earlier, guys, you want to get yourself a copy, you can actually go to the Great Controversy Project.org. I think they're still giving away these for free. You can get one copy, I think, per family. So that is still there. So, what is the Great Controversy? What is it about? What exactly is the Seventh Adventist Church saying? Again, we're going to read from belief number 8. This is the Seventh Adventist Church. All right, we're not talking about the guy in Jamaica. We're going to read directly from our writings. All humanity is now involved in a great controversy between Christ and Satan regarding the character of God, his law, his sovereignty over the universe. This conflict originated in heaven when a created being endowed with wisdom of choice in self examination became Satan, God's adversary, and led into rebellion a portion of the angels. He introduced the spirit of rebellion into the world when he led Adam and Eve into sin. This human sin resulted in a distortion of the image of God in humanity. The distortion of, let's move on to the next point. The distortion of the created world and its eventual devastation at the time of the global flood. As presented in the historical account of Genesis chapter 1 to chapter 11, observed by the whole creation, this world became the arena of the universal conflict out of which the God of love will ultimately be vindicated. To assist his people in this controversy, Christ sent the Holy Spirit and the holy angels to guide and protect and sustain them in the way of salvation. Does anybody have a problem with this? Just asking a question.
No. I want to add something.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, when you open up the Great Controversy, it starts with 70 AD, right around there with the destruction of Jerusalem. And
Hmm.
then she moves on historically, on a historical flow,
Hmm.
which we need to understand. When we read the Bible. The Bible has a historical flow.
Yeah.
There is no futurism where you take off prophecies and add them to the end of time and all that. The Bible explains itself, and Ellen White will show you that historical flow from the time Jesus or the destruction until the time Jesus comes again. And you'll see through the history. You'll see through 100 AD, 200 AD, 300 AD, and you'll see what transpired. And if you compare any of her writings with the book of Revelation, you'll see it's in harmony with that. So it's a great tool to have to understand prophecy.
Exactly.
And if you want to beat Ellen White like a dead horse and all this, I mean, you're only hurting yourself because read her writings first.
Yeah.
There's not, almost 30 million Seventh-day Adventists out there because we're all asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I would like to know if has there been anybody who has read the Spirit of Prophecy and became less of a Christian? Has anybody ever read the Ellen White and was somewhat wounded or hurt or left by the wayside? I have,
Not
I,
No, in fact, Ellen White has been a blessing to me because there
mm,
are many times when you read the Bible, you get a little confused and have a little time where what does this really mean, or how? how do
Yeah.
I put this? You pray on it, and you kind of read what Ellen White wrote about that, and you're like, oh man, yes, of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
agree.
it's like having a teacher with the student to
Yeah.
give them the answer when you can't really pull it out from your study notes, you know.
Hmm. Powerful. You know, to keep it simple, the great controversy is in the Bible. Okay, the whole idea is biblical. Isaiah 14, 12 to 14 speaks about the fall of Lucifer. We know he said, I will be like the Most High. I'm going to sit on the throne of God and so on. And we know how that ended, right? The Bible says, you shall be cast down to hell to the side of the pit, right? The exact opposite happened. Now, in Revelation 12, again, you have this Michael and the archangel fighting against the dragon. We know they're going to talk about Michael next. We know this Michael is Jesus. They will say it cannot be Jesus. You know, Michael, an archangel, cannot be Jesus, right? But
Yeah,
because
because they're thinking it's like a regular angel, but that's not
yeah,
an angel.
we're thinking a lot more deeper than that, right? We know that. So this is where we get the great controversy theme from, and we can go on throughout the Bible in Revelation, in Ezekiel 28 when we talk about that as well. You can actually see it in the life of Jesus. The great controversy is being displayed. You study the nation of Israel, for example, you will see the great controversy theme even in the wars that were happening in Israel. With the Israelites, many of that was displaying the great controversy theme. So actually, when you bring it to your own life, the great controversy is being displayed. You're trying to become a Christian, like we were listening to earlier today for Amira's testimony. She was talking about the challenge that she had in becoming a Christian. Why? Because the devil wasn't happy. That's the great controversy. So it's not just something in a heavenly, it's
Yeah.
actually happening in your life. It's actually very present in
It's
your
it's funny
home.
that in the discussion and what
Yeah.
they're talking about, they're not even talking about the great controversy. They're over there talking about who Michael is. That's not
Yeah.
even what the great controversy is even about.
Yeah, it's not even
That's
about
like
that.
not even.
And that's part of the problem. We're gonna skip the next video here. There's a nice video from Lineage where he explains the great controversy, the fight between good and evil. But we're gonna skip that. We're gonna fast forward now to their criticism of Michael. Of course, we know that was coming. Michael the archangel. So let's take a listen to what they have to say about that. Again, a lot more misinformation coming your way. Watch it. So let's take a listen.
And worldview.
Man, you just said a mouthful, bro. Thank you for the background and the education, man. A lot of this stuff is even new to me. A lot of what you just said sounds a lot like the Jehovah's Witnesses faith that I'm pretty familiar with, right? They also believe that Jesus is Michael reincarnated as Michael the Archangel. And when I had conversations with them, they clearly believe that Jesus is not the eternal God, right? That he is a created being, Michael the Archangel, right? But when we put this online and it was all in the comments, there were multiple people who said they believe that who were SDA, they said they believed that Jesus was the eternal God and that he was not, that he was referred to as Michael the Archangel, but at the same time, like that was just one of his names, but he is the eternal God, the same thing that Orthodox Christians believe.
Yeah, well, you just heard the truth.
Sounds like he knows, but then this ex-boyfriend guy, he's gonna be like, "Oh no, that's not what they really
Well, the
believe. They're just
ex-boyfriend
lying
is
to
gonna
you."
tell you something else.
Yeah.
What
Right.
they don't understand,
Yeah.
the God of the Old Testament is the same God of the New Testament, Jesus Christ. And in the
Yeah.
Old Testament, you're looking at the host of the angels, the head of the angels, which is Jesus Christ. He is the archangel. He is the highest.
Yeah.
And I'm no different than they are. At some time in your life, you look at that and you go, Jesus, he's not an angel. He's not, he couldn't be Michael the archangel. Then you start breaking down everything Michael does and the
Yeah.
respect and what the reverence that he gets. I
Yeah.
mean, when I read that Michael, resurrected the body of Moses,
That's volume right there.
I knew at that point that no created being was going to resurrect the body of Moses.
Yep, yep. That's impossible. That
Exactly. It
cannot
was
be done. Yeah.
Yeah,
God
even like
himself. So
Even like in the book of Acts, when you see like some kind of like miracle like that, it's always in the name of Jesus. It's not like they just like saying, "Oh, look what I can do! Ooh, I got some magical powers or something."
Yeah,
No,
everything
it's
is
it's
basically
always you know.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But one of the reasons why I came to the understanding that Michael is the archangel. If, for example, right, I know this is gonna go a little bit deep. When you read in Ezekiel 28, he's talking about the character of Lucifer before the fall. He says, "Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty." Actually, when you read the word "sum" in SUM, which is actually it's the whole or the complete, but it is spoken about in a context of creation, is the word katmo, and the word katmo means is that you are the fullness. How do I say this? From a perspective of creation, right? Thou sealest up the sum. God is saying there was nothing else that a created being could have had that you didn't have. In other words, God creating something as Lucifer, he gave Lucifer everything you could have possibly given to one creature. That's actually what that statement means. And I ask the question, well, if Lucifer is being given that much power and beauty and authority, right? How could one little angel fight against it? So that from that question alone, I said, well, Michael has to be more than an angel. For
well,
Michael to fight against Lucifer and overcame him and kicked him out, that speaks volume. And when you connect that to Daniel chapter 12, you will see that when Michael stands up, probation closes. And I'm like, that's interesting. So Michael has to be someone who is much more than an angel, because every time either Jesus stands up, something happened. During the time of Stephen, for example, in the book of Acts, chapter 8, when he opened up, he saw in heavens that heavens open up. What happened there? There was a probation closing to the Jews, right? They go from the nation of Israel to the Gentiles. It doesn't mean Jews can be saved, but God was no longer dealing with them as a nation from that point forward. So you saw the fulfillment of that prophecy. Jesus standing up, Michael standing up in Daniel has to also be Christ, because the moment he stands up, there's a time of trouble, such as never was and there was a nation. There's also the resurrections happening as a result of that. And there's also the second coming. It's like, whoa. So this Michael has to be much more than just a regular angel.
and
That was my conclusion. Yeah.
not only that, Gabriel, an angel, calls Michael the prince in the book of Daniel.
Yeah.
He says to Daniel, "Michael, your prince."
Yeah. And Isaiah speaks about how Jesus is the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Isaiah 9 verse 6. So yeah, I mean, so the confusion doesn't have to be here, but again, so by the way, I did a whole video responding to is Michael Jesus? So I'll leave a link in that when in the PowerPoint so you can check it out. I'm not gonna waste my time going through this again because we already did that. So right. So the question is Michael Jesus? The answer is yes, he is. Like Michael, the archangel, is Jesus, because when Michael stands up, things happen. When Michael comes with the voice of the archangel, there is the resurrection of the righteous. Now, we know the wicked will stay in the grave for 1,000 years, but we are told the righteous will rise and we will soar up to meet the Lord in the air. So this happens when Michael comes with the voice of the archangel. So we are told Adventists believe, right? So the question was that, do we believe that Jesus is God? Because if Michael is the archangel, does that mean that Jesus is not God because he's a created being? No, big mistake. And Roke, you've already addressed part of that. Adventists believe Jesus was co-existent with God from everlasting to everlasting. Jesus, the same word, became flesh and dwelt among us. And Jesus is the eternal God who inhabits eternity. Boom. This is what we believe.
And this is the one that this ex-Adventist guy just completely ignored. Like, this completely contradicts what he was saying.
Yeah. Totally missed it. Totally missed it. We're gonna skip that one. This was good. I tell people, if you want to hear some really good answers, go listen to Pastor Myers. Oh man, this was great. This was great. So I'll put a link in the PowerPoint so you can check it out as well.